Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. So some really cool news that just broke over the last couple of days. In the updates for May in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, we have gotten a character tease for mid-May. Now, we are coming off a month here in April where we did not get any new unlockable character. Going back to December, we didn't get a character, and in January, we didn't get a new character, although we did get a skin, an alternative skin for Soul Burner, which was Soul Burner and Flame. So, going into May here, only 2 of the last 5 months have had new character unlocks, which is definitely a lot lower than we are used to for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, which has been a little, I don't know if, like, concerning is the right word, but it's been lower than we are used to, I'll just say that. But we did get a tease for mid-May, and it looks like the character coming to Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links next month will be Vector, one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Villains, in my opinion, that we have ever had. So the quote that we are getting is "Time for chaos to reign." And I saw this quote, and personally, I wasn't immediately sure who this could have been referring to, because I feel like this is a very, like, general quote. Like, I believe that Gohei Yuga is going to be the next Sevens character that gets unlocked. If he's not the next, he should be one of the, newer ones that we get soon. And I feel like that quote could have tied to him. It's kind of a general quote for villains, but doing a little bit more research, the quote that the people over in Japan are getting is a direct quote that Vector himself said from, I believe, episode 94. I don't have that quote in front of me, but that is the reason why this is almost definitely Vector and not one of the other, potential villains that we are still waiting on. Like, we still don't have Zark, which that could have obviously been like a reference to Zark. We still don't have Tron. Like, there are a lot of villains that we do not have yet playable in Duel Links. Of course, Vector is one of them, and this quote is almost definitely tied to Vector due to the Japanese quote that the Duel Links players over in Japan are getting. Now, a few interesting notes regarding Vector here. Not only is he one of my favorite characters in Zexal, and I know he's a massive fan favorite, but his deck, Umbral Horror, is known to be one of the worst decks in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! It is a really bad deck. It has been in desperate need of support for ages now, and we have not gotten support for this deck in an extremely long time. So I would love to know your thoughts on how they are going to make his deck work. Having the Throne of Don Thousand is a pretty important card for his playstyle as well. Do you think the skills are just going to be so OP for Vector that it makes this deck playable? I feel like that's kind of been the theme with Duel Links recently, right? The Gaia skill in Rush is insane. The skill for the hero deck with Judai and Yubel is insane. And, I've seen a lot of people refer to Duel Links as skill links because the skills just sometimes are so good that it makes these decks that are either, like, bad or not great super meta and tier 0, and that is kind of annoying to me. I know it's annoying for a lot of players because it feels like skills are almost so imbalanced that it makes these decks really, really good, and it feels like there's not much, I don't know if skill is the right word, involved, but you just click a skill and you get all these monsters on your field, and it feels a little goofy at times, depending on how good the skill is. But this is a deck that needs the skill to almost be, like, insanely good if this deck is going to have any semblance of working, because Umbral Horror, at least in my opinion, is just a really rough deck. And so I'm very interested to see what skills we get and if those skills are going to make this deck good, because that's, like, the only way that I can see this deck actually being a good deck. So we'll have to wait and see in regards to that. Another thing I wanted to show is actually my predictions for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links this year. I'm going to do something I don't do very often because I'm not right very often, and give myself a little bit of credit. We have gotten off to a really, really good start regarding my predictions that I did back at the beginning of January for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. I got the first 3 months perfectly right. Now, April was no character, but the next character that I predicted back in January was, in fact, Vector. So, you Fubuki enjoyers, he's the character that I have next after Vector, which is where this is definitely going to become wrong, because I don't actually think that we are going to get Atticus Rhodes in this game, unfortunately. And then, in September, I predicted the Chronicles world, and with how much of a crossover the Chronicles anime, if you even can call it an anime, was with Master Duel so far, it actually would not shock me if there maybe is even more of a crossover in September, but we'll see. There were a lot of Duel Monsters skins that were data mined not too long ago, so maybe we'll get like a DM filler world, which was my prediction last year, but these are the remaining months of my predictions. Go Hyuga, Fubuki, Arovian Yuna double unlock event, the Lore World, Albez, Tron, and Zark. So my predictions have gotten off to definitely the greatest start that they ever have gotten off to since I've started doing this video, I think, for the last 3 years. But we'll see what comes next. I'm making the point here because I know there's probably going to be a lot of red and a lot of incorrect in the second half of the year. But so far, it's been a great year for the predictions. And yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts on this. I'd love to know your thoughts on Vector, and I'd love to know your thoughts on just the state of Duel Links in general. Like, there's a lot of people who feel we might be in like the final year or the final 2 years, not necessarily of the game running, but of getting new characters. And I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Like, what do you think is the lifespan right now for Duel Links? I mean, the app has been going on for 10 years. I doubt it's going to go on for another 10 years. And we haven't made a Duel Links video in a few weeks now. And I'd love to just kind of get a feel for how you guys are feeling in regards to this mobile app and how you're feeling in regards to Vector. I mean, I'd love to know some theories on what the skill is going to be. It's going to have to flood these Umbral Horror cards, or maybe even get like one of his Chaos XZ's monsters onto the field, because the deck is just really, really bad. And we knew this was always going to be an issue when Vector came out, but I'm happy he's here. There's not many more Zexal characters, Tron and Don Thousand. I feel like that's pretty much it. And so I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you down below, and I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, guys.